Greetings, Mavericks and new viewers. Tonight, direct and live from the Maverick News Network World Studios. This is Maverick News with Rick Walker.
Welcome back to the Maverick News channel, everyone. All kinds of stuff going on today and tonight. Donald Trump, RFK Jr., Dr. Oz, all hanging out in the White House talking about Tylenol and autism. This is the big announcement that he announced that he was going to make today, and now the announcement from yesterday about making the announcement today, he just made the announcement. And a lot of people say that the announcement that he made is an announcement that shouldn't have been made because it's not based in science. And strangely, that ties into other stuff we're going to talk about tonight too. Like the ostriches out in BC. CFIA is out there with the RCMP, and it looks like they want to go ahead with the call. But of course, you have the protesters out there. So we'll take a look at that too. And that's all about science. And then there's still all this fallout from yesterday's gigantic Charlie Kirk memorial. I called it a revival. I think maybe even that wasn't accurate. Maybe I was trying to be respectful yesterday. I didn't want to be too critical or say anything inappropriate because it's a memorial, right? But I'll tell you, those MAGA maniacs, they sure do know how to put the fun back in funeral. I'll tell you, it was a rip-roaring rally, and we're going to take a second look at it because I'll tell you, there's stuff I was working on last week that I hadn't released yet. There's another Maverick and the News Brothers song that I'm going to share with you tonight. You're not going to want to miss this one because it ties right into Holly Weird, Charlie Weird, and the MAGA maniacs, and the science, and the pseudoscience, or whatever, the craziness, and communism. It all ties together. Yes, it does. Okay, so let's just not keep you waiting. Let's run the promo. We'll be back on the other side, and we'll dig into today's top news stories.
Greetings, brave Mavericks. Our quest for truth continues. We go beyond fake news. Together we expose propaganda. Together we pull others out of rabbit holes. We are Maverick thinkers. We are all unique individuals, defenders of individual rights and freedoms, credible, trusted, grounded in reality. Maverick News, defending free speech, Donate at freedomreporters.com. Do it now. Tomorrow may be too late. Maverick News. The world is watching.
We're living in very dangerous times because it's hard to know what's real, what is fake, what is accurate, what is science, what is not science or pseudoscience. And we're living in a time where government endorsement or a government decree is what we're told we should believe in. And if it's government approved, that's official. So if it's FDA approved, that's official. And largely, I think that has worked fairly well for our society. I think it has kept people safe. You can look at the data to back that up. Life expectancy, people living. There was a time when people wouldn't live much past 40. And today, it's not uncommon to have people live to 100 or more. My dad, 93 years old. Still goes out and chops wood every day. He's going to get his hip replaced. Maybe I'm talking out of school here, but I was going to have him on one night soon to talk about it. And the healthcare system in Canada and what he's going through, if he's willing. I'm interested in having him maybe share some of that information with everybody to give people a really accurate perspective on where our society is at in that regard here in Canada, at least for him, 93 years old. And technology, medical technology, pharmaceuticals, under always constant attack, it seems, and yet everybody's popping pills, taking vitamins, and heading off to the hospital for this transplant or this Neuralink. Well, but everything has shifted since Trump has come back into office. A lot of it because of the pandemic and now the post-pandemic period, where the people who were in charge during the pandemic are being, have been heavily criticized for what they did. And now people want to hold them accountable. And the websites for the government have largely changed. I mean, just take a look at this. And this is not the main thing, but it gives you just an example. So this is the CDC website. And, they outline different types of COVID-19 treatment. If you look at some government websites in the United States, since Trump has come back into office, the guidelines, the information on COVID, on vaccines, it has changed. And even with RFK Jr. in charge of health, Maha, he has changed the protocol, the guidelines for vaccinations and children. And it's also, how they're handling COVID vaccines, mRNA vaccines. And it seems dysfunctional because Trump is still pushing mRNA technology. Well, at the same time, you've got this, movement over there with RFK Jr. and he's firing people at the CDC. It's a little bit crazy. And if you let this stuff fester in your brain too much, if you focus on it too much, it will drive you crazy. It's driving me crazy, and I'm trying not to focus on it. But the websites have changed. And here's just another example before we get into the main thrust of where I'm going with all this. This is just recent from last month. RFK Jr. cancels $500 million in funding for mRNA vaccines for diseases like COVID. And yet, Trump, so proud of bringing us the vaccine and so upset that the pharmaceutical companies, when it was being rolled out during the Trump 1.0 administration, they didn't want to give him any credit. If you recall, they really didn't. And he was pushing, he wanted to get that out there for the election because I think he viewed it as something that would make him a hero for having saved the world with these mRNA COVID vaccines. But it's turned into a real mess, hasn't it? Or at least that's the way it was, he was portraying himself. And then always saying, well, you have your freedom, you have your choice. But then we had the lockdowns, the people were masked up, mandates came. What did he do to stop any of it at the time? Nothing. Not a nothing. And people somehow in their minds, the MAGA maniacs, and I mean the extreme ones, and maybe not even the extremists, a lot of people were Trump supporters, just think that Trump has been their savior somehow on the vaccines. Well, he stands up at the podium and tells everybody to go out there and get the mRNA jab. And still does. But you have your freedom, you have your choice. Well, for a while, a lot of people didn't, especially in Canada. And Canada, we take it on the chin a lot of the time. And Canada largely has to be compliant and in alignment with the United States because we live right next door to Godzilla. And if we don't do what Godzilla does, we risk being kind of crushed, So we have to align with them. We can't be too much of an adversary or a contrarian, because if we are, whoever is in the White House at the time might view Kanakistan as something of a threat, lest we be invaded. And I think it has always been a looming threat, especially since World War II, because of the nukes, and because since World War II, and even really since World War I, but especially since World War II, the United States has become so incredibly powerful, the dominant world power. Even as other countries have acquired nuclear weapons, the United States is still dominant, at least on paper. So Canada has to always fall into line. So I don't know. And I think sometimes Canada has been made to do crazy, stupid things in order to just keep whoever, has been in power in the United States happy. Whether it's, I don't know. Well, just take a look at the MK Ultra mind control, mind psychology experiments that were really a form of human torture. Canada participated in that. It was run by the CIA. Canada knew all about it. And they did it in Canada in a way that has allowed the United States and the CIA from being held accountable for those experiments, even now as court cases continue to proceed and keep being thrown out, with the victims seeking compensation all these years later. And it looked like, to me, that was kind of what was going on during COVID as well, whether it was the mandates at the border for the truckers, you had alignment. You have the United States with a policy, Canada has to fall in line. Whatever the U.S. does, Canada has to do it. And interestingly, China kind of taking the lead on all of this stuff. And you can throw your theories around as to what kind of happened, where the virus came from. And there's a whole range of opinions and theories on that one. But Biden comes along, he does his thing. Fauci's there all the time in the background. Now you have RFK Jr., who is portrayed as kind of a wingnut. And I think in large part he is. I think he is largely a wingnut. And he's making real waves. He has been extremely disruptive. That's what's going on today. Very, very disruptive, as Trump holds a news conference and claims that acetaminophen used during pregnancy could cause autism. So he also says that the administration is issuing a warning to doctors not to recommend acetaminophen, Tylenol, for pregnant women, claims it could be linked to autism in children. He's been teasing this announcement for a number of days, even talked about it during the Charlie Kirk Memorial rally, party, whatever it was. And today at this news conference held just a short time ago in the White House, he was accompanied by RFK Jr. and Dr. Oz. Let's pick it up. Here we go.
The meteoric rise in autism is among the most alarming public health developments in history. There's never been anything like this. Just a few decades ago, 1 in 10,000 children had autism. So that's not a long time. And I've always heard, they say a few, but I think it's a lot less time than that. It used to be 1 in 20,000, then 1 in 10,000. And I would say that's probably 18 years ago. And now it's 1 in 31, but in some areas it's much worse than that, if you can believe it, 1 in 31. And I gave numbers yesterday. For boys, it's 1 in 12. I was told that's in California, where they have for some reason, a more severe problem. But whether it's 1 in 12 or 1 in 31, can you imagine? That's down from 1 in 20,000, then 1 in 10,000. And now we're at the level of 1 in 12 in some cases for boys, 1 in 31 overall. So since 2000, autism rates have surged by much more than 400%. Instead of attacking those who ask questions, everyone should be grateful for those who are trying to get the answers to this complex situation. And the first day all of these great doctors behind me were there, I told them, this is what we have to find out. Because when you go from 20,000 to 10,000, and then you go to 12, there's something artificial. They're taking something. And by the way, I think I can say that there are certain groups of people that don't take vaccines and don't take any pills that have no autism. Does that tell you something? That's currently, is that a correct statement, by the way?
There are some studies that suggest that, with the Amish, for example.
The Amish, yeah, virtually. I heard none. See, Bobby wants to be very careful with what he says, and he should, but I'm not so careful with what I say. But you have certain groups. The Amish, as an example, they have essentially no autism. First, effective immediately, the FDA will be notifying physicians that the use of well, let's see how we say that. Acetaminophen. Is that okay? Which is basically commonly known as Tylenol, during pregnancy, can be associated with a very increased risk of autism. So taking Tylenol is not good. All right, I'll say it. It's not good. For this reason, they are strongly recommending that women limit Tylenol use during pregnancy unless medically necessary. That's, for instance, in cases of extremely high fever, that you feel you can't tough it out, you can't do it. I guess there's that. It's a small number of cases, I think. But if you can't tough it out, if you can't do it, that's what you're going to have to do. You'll take a Tylenol, but it'll be very sparingly. It can be something that's very dangerous to the woman's health. In other words, a fever that's very, very dangerous, and ideally a doctor's decision, because I think you shouldn't take it. And you shouldn't take it during the entire pregnancy. They may tell you that toward the end of the pregnancy, you shouldn't take it during the entire. And you shouldn't give the child the Tylenol every time he's born and he goes and has a shot. You shouldn't give a Tylenol to that child. All pregnant women should talk to their doctors for more information about limiting the use of this medication while pregnant. So ideally, you don't take it at all. But if you can't tough it out, if there's a problem, you're going to end up doing it. The other thing that I can tell you that I'll say that they will maybe say at a little bit later date, But I think when you go for the shot, you do it over a 5-time period. Take it over 5 times or 4 times, but you take it in smaller doses and you spread it out over a period of years. And they pump so much stuff into those beautiful little babies. It's a disgrace. I don't see it. I think it's very bad. They're pumping, it looks like they're pumping into a horse. You have a little child, little fragile child, and you get a vat of 80 different vaccines, I guess, 80 different blends, and they pump it in. So ideally, a woman won't take Tylenol. And on the vaccines, it would be good instead of one visit where they pump the baby, load it up with stuff, you'll do it over a period of 4 times or 5 times. I've been so into this issue for so many years just because I couldn't understand how a thing like this could happen. And it's artificially induced. It's not like something that when you go from all of those, healthy babies to a point where I don't even know structurally if a country can afford it. And that's the least of the problems. To have families destroyed over this is just so terrible. I also, and we've already done this, we want no mercury in the vaccine. We want no aluminum in the vaccine. The MMR, I think, should be taken separately. This is based on what I feel, the mumps, measles, and the 3 should be taken separately. And it seems to be that when you mix them, there could be a problem. So there's no downside in taking them separately. In fact, they think it's better, so let it be separate. The chicken pox is already separate because when that got mixed in, I guess they made it 4 for a while, it really was bad. So they make chicken pox. Individually, they're okay. When you mix them, something maybe happens. So there's no downside in doing it. It's not like, if you do it, bad things. No, it's only good side. And it may not have that much of an impact, but it may have a big impact. So let those be taken separately. And then hepatitis B is sexually transmitted. There's no reason to give a baby that's almost just born hepatitis B. So I would say wait till the baby is 12 years old and formed and take hepatitis B. And I think if you do those things, it's going to be a whole different, it's going to be a revolution in a positive sense in the country. The FDA will be updating the label of an existing drug to reflect potential benefits in reducing some autism symptoms. This gives hope to the many parents with autistic children that it may be possible to improve their lives. That's one of the things that I'm very, very happy about. I mean, this was mostly going to be on how not to have the child affected, but we've learned some pretty good things about certain elements of genius that can be given to a baby, and the baby can get better, and in some cases maybe substantially better. Not going to be easy, but be a lot easier if it didn't happen in the first place, as these great parents fully understand, right? They fully understand. I feel so terribly I have so many friends with autistic children. It's a tough situation. Finally, to help reach the ultimate goal of ending the autism fever, the NIH will be announcing 13 major grant awards from the Autism Data Science Initiatives. And to be honest with you, to me, that's the least important. It's not even a money thing at this point. There's so much money, but they have to do, and they have to move quickly. When the alternative is that nothing bad can happen, let's do it now. I was just saying to Bobby and the group, let's do it now. Nothing bad can happen. It can only good happen. But with Tylenol, don't take it. Don't take it. And if you can't live, if your fever is so bad, you have to take one because there's no alternative to that. Sadly, first question, what can you take instead? It's actually, there's not an alternative to that. And as you know, other of the medicines are absolutely proven bad. I mean, they've been proven bad with the aspirins and the Advils and others, right? And they've been proven bad. So I'd like to ask Bobby to get up to the podium and say a few words, and then Dr. Bhattacharya and Dr. McCary, Dr. Oz, Dr. Fink, followed by two incredible mothers that have experienced firsthand what this country is going through, what parts of the world are going through. And I will say there are parts of the world that don't take Tylenol. I mean, there's a rumor, and I don't know if it's so or not, that Cuba, they don't have Tylenol because they don't have the money for Tylenol, and they have virtually no autism, okay? Tell me about that one. And there are other parts of the world where they don't have Tylenol, where they don't have autism. That tells you a lot, and I want to say it right now. And, you know, the way I look at it, don't take it. Don't take it. There's no downside in not taking it. So I'd like to ask Bobby to come up and say a few words. I hope I didn't ruin his day, but that's the way I feel. I've been very strong on this subject for a long time. You know, life is common sense, too. And there's a lot of common sense in this, and I wish things like this were brought up. And this group has worked so hard on it, but I'd like to be a little bit more, a little speedier in the process of a recommendation, because there's no harm in going quicker. There's absolutely no harm. At worst, there's no harm. Thank you very much. Bobby, please.
Thank you, Mr. President. To meet the President's challenge, I ordered HHS to launch an unprecedented all-agency effort to identify all causes of autism, including toxic and pharmaceutical exposures. At President Trump's urging, NIH, FDA, CDC, and CMS are turning over every stone to identify the etiology of the autism epidemic and how patients and parents can prevent and reverse this alarming trend. We have broken down the traditional silos that have long separated these agencies, and we have fast-tracked research and guidance. Historically, NIH has focused almost solely on politically safe and entirely fruitless research about the genetic drivers of autism. And that would be like studying the genetic drivers of lung cancer without looking at cigarettes. And that's what NIH has been doing for 20 years. As a result, we don't have an answer to this critical question, despite the cataclysmic impact of the epidemic on our nation's children. We are now replacing the institutional culture of politicized science and corruption with evidence-based medicine. NIH research teams are currently testing multiple hypotheses with no area off limits. We promise transparency as we uncover the potential causes and treatments, and we will notify the public regularly of our progress. Today, we are announcing two important findings from our autism work that are vital for parents to know as they make these decisions. First, HHS will act on acetaminophen. The FDA is responding to clinical and laboratory studies that suggest a potential association between acetaminophen use during pregnancy and adverse neurodevelopmental outcomes, including later diagnosis for ADHD and autism. Scientists have proposed biological mechanisms linking prenatal acetaminophen exposure to altered brain development. We have also evaluated the contrary studies that show no association. Today, the FDA will issue a physician's notice about the risk of acetaminophen during pregnancy and begin the process to initiate a safety label change. HHS will launch a nationwide public service campaign to inform families and protect public health. FDA also recognized that acetaminophen is often the only tool for fevers and pain in pregnancy, as other alternatives have well-documented adverse effects. HHS wants, therefore, to encourage clinicians to exercise their best judgment in the use of acetaminophen for fevers and pain in pregnancy by prescribing the lowest effective dose for the shortest necessary duration and only when treatment is required. Furthermore, thanks also to the politicization of science, the safety of acetaminophen against the risk of neurodevelopmental disorders in young children has never been validated. Prudent medicine, therefore, suggests caution in acetaminophen use by young children, especially since strong evidence also has associated it with liver toxicity. Some studies have also found the use of acetaminophen in children can potentially prolong viral illnesses. FDA will drive new research to safeguard mothers, children, and families. In addition to a possible acetaminophen connection to autism for pregnant women, infants, and toddlers, our research has revealed that folate deficiency in a child's brain can lead to autism. We have also identified an exciting therapy that may benefit large numbers of children who suffer from autism. Peer-reviewed literature has documented that up to 60% of folate-deficient children with ASD can have improved verbal communications if given leucovorin. I have instructed NIH, FDA, and CMS to help doctors treat children appropriately. Jay will help tell that story, which started with sound science, the kind that restores faith in government. This announcement also represents a historic collaboration between NIH, FDA, CDC, and CMS. We expect this to be the first of many announcements over the coming years that deliver actionable information to parents on underlying cause of autism and the potential paths for prevention and reversal. Finally, autism is a complex disorder with multifactorial etiology. We are continuing to investigate a multiplicity of potential causes with no areas of taboo. One area that we are closely examining, as the president mentioned, is vaccines. Some 40 to 70% of mothers who have children with autism believe that their child was injured by a vaccine. President Trump believes that we should be listening to these mothers instead of gaslighting and marginalizing them like prior administrations. Some of our friends like to say that we should believe all women. But some of these same people have been silencing and demonizing these mothers for 3 decades because research on the potential link between autism and vaccines has been actively suppressed in the past. It will take time for an honest look at this topic by scientists. But I want to reassure the people in the autism community that we will be uncompromising and relentless in our search for answers. We will perform the studies that should have been performed 25 years ago. Whatever the answer is, we will tell you what we find. We are researching this issue to all 3 agencies. Jay will discuss one of our research initiatives at NIH. This model of unleashing unbiased, depoliticized, gold standard scientific research and academic freedom to deliver actionable information to prevent and reverse disease will be a model for the framework to deliver similar results for many other chronic conditions that plague Americans. Jay?
Thank you, Secretary Kennedy, and thank you, President Trump.
Thank you very much.
We'll stay with it for
today that the NIH has launched the Autism
Dr.
Data Science
Bhattacharya.
Initiative to turbocharge autism research, devoting an additional $50 million to the cause of studying autism. Nearly 250 research teams from across the country applied, sent in their applications, and were peer-reviewed by the NIH review panels. The NIH peer reviewers chose the 13 best projects focused on root causes and therapies, with replication and validation studies to guarantee gold standard science. The studies feature a new kind of science called exposomics, where scientists consider environmental and medical factors, nutrition, events during pregnancy, in combination with biology and genetics to answer vital questions about autism. Science like this, conducted in partnership with families and physicians, is the best way to arrest and reverse the autism epidemic. Autism spectrum disorder encompasses a very wide range of symptoms, ranging from mild difficulties with social interactions to profoundly autistic children who experience severe disabilities in speech and behavior. Given this wide range of symptoms across the spectrum, it seems certain that there will be a wide range of biological contributors to explaining the cause. The great thing about the new NIH initiative on autism is that scientists will use rigorous advanced methods in causal inference, machine learning, organoids, and other fresh approaches to the problem. The sharp rise in the prevalence of autism deserves an urgent response by the scientific community. As Bobby said, the NIH has invested a lot of money to study autism over the years, but the research has not produced the answers that families and parents of autistic children deserve, and autistic children themselves deserve. For too long, it's been taboo to ask some questions for fear that scientific work might reveal a politically incorrect answer. Because of this restricted focus in scientific investigations, the answers for families have been similarly restricted, often pointing families to behavioral therapies that don't work for every kid, or suggest non-modifiable genetic factors as the cause. But genetics alone can't explain such a sharp rise in autism prevalence over just a few decades, as the President said. In coming months and years, as NIH scientists learn more that can help autistic children and their families, we won't delay. Like scientists often like to do, I can say as a scientist myself, it's really tempting to delay, but but in face of a problem like this, you have to move fast. But we will not delay before telling American people about what we find, and we will win the public trust with transparency and rigor. Already, our broadened focus on autism research has pointed to 2 items that will help families prevent and treat some cases of autism. I'll leave the good news on these 2 items to my close friends and colleagues, Dr. McCary and Dr. Oz. We've been working together closely on this problem for the past 6 months, and our cooperation represents an unprecedented collaboration with Secretary Kennedy's Department of Health and Human Services and with President Trump. I'm delighted to introduce Dr. Marty McCary, Commissioner of the Food and Drug Administration, who will tell you about these announcements of practical help for families with autism.
Great, thank you, Dr. Bhattacharya. Mr. President, this is the start of a historic shift in medical culture. This administration is working together to ask big questions about why our nation's children are getting sick so fast. Too often, medicine is doing small little studies, giving us answers we already knew. But we've got to make a difference. You've given us a charge to identify root causes, and we are not going to stop so that we can end the suffering we are watching. And if you've seen a kid with autism, with severe autism, it's hard to watch. Kids get frustrated, they get angry, they can be crying because they want to speak and they can't speak. It's hard to watch, and it may be entirely preventable. For an epidemiologist, that child is an expanding statistic. But for a child, it can be brutal to have autism. Today, the FDA is taking action to update the label on acetaminophen and sending a letter to all U.S. doctors letting them know about the risks in pregnancy. We now have data we cannot ignore. There's a very large study, the Boston Birth Cohort, with researchers that have, from Johns Hopkins, my former institution, and Boston University, found, quote unquote, consistent associations between acetaminophen in pregnancy and autism. And the Nurses' Health Study with researchers from Yale, Columbia, and Harvard looking at 9,000 kids found that acetaminophen use in pregnancy was associated with neurodevelopmental disorders. And 4 weeks ago, a Mount Sinai Harvard study reviewed all the existing literature and found the overwhelming body of evidence points to an association. Sure, you'll be able to find a study to the contrary. That's how science works. But to quote the dean of the Harvard School of Public Health, there is a causal relationship between prenatal acetaminophen use and neurodevelopmental disorders of ADHD and autism spectrum disorder. We cannot wait any longer. And honestly, there's been this perfunctory, reactionary, mindless practice in medicine. I learned it in medical school and residency. Just treat all fevers, low-grade fevers, treat them with acetaminophen. Why? What are we doing? A study out of Hopkins actually showed that treating a fever can prolong the duration of illness in a young kid. Maybe that's because a fever is a body's natural way of ridding an infection. When my wife was pregnant and delivered our son a few months ago, they pushed her to take acetaminophen for a low-grade fever. She said no, and then they looked to me and I said, absolutely no. I'm also here to announce good news. Today, the FDA is filing a Federal Register notice to change the label on an exciting treatment called prescription leucovorin so that it can be available to children with autism. You know, autism may also be due to an autoimmune reaction to a folate receptor on the brain, not allowing that important vitamin to get into the brain cells. It's a fairly established, mature pathway. Again, we have a duty to let doctors and the public know. We are going to change the label to make it available. Hundreds of thousands of kids, in my opinion, will benefit. One study found that with kids with autism and chronic folate deficiency, 2/3 of kids with autism symptoms had improvement, and some marked improvement. Mr. President, you told us to do what's medically right, to go bold, and not worry about the corporations and the lobbyists. So that's what we're here doing today. Thank you, Mr. President.
Good, thank you.
Okay, so could be a good thing. Could be. Could be. I like Dr. Jay Bhattacharya. Always seems to be a very competent, knowledgeable, smart guy, level-headed in my estimation. During the pandemic, he seemed to say some pretty sensible things. So I have a lot of confidence in him. Now, President Trump, I don't know. He needs to. How was it? How do you pronounce this stuff again? I've got some right here. I keep it handy. Dealing with politics day in, day out, you sometimes get a little bit of a headache. This is a generic Lee Noel. And this is pronounced, what was it again? Aket. Mean Ophen. It's good to have knowledgeable people running the country. I'll be right back. Keeping that Tylenol handy.
Greetings, brave Mavericks. Our quest for truth continues. We go beyond fake news. Together we expose propaganda. Together we pull others out of rabbit holes. We are maverick thinkers. We are all unique individuals. Defenders of individual rights and freedoms. Credible. Trusted. Grounded in reality. Maverick News. Maverick News. Defending free speech. Free speech. Donate at freedomreporters.com. Do it now. Tomorrow may be too late. Maverick News. The world is watching.
Okay, so we're going to get into this Charlie Kirk stuff too, but we also have this developing story out in British Columbia where those ostriches out of that open air biolab that they don't want to call an open air biolab because they've not been fully transparent and haven't been telling the public or anybody else the whole truth and have been using selective information to paint a narrative that is not accurate. That being said, CFIA, Canadian Food Inspection Agency, has made its way with quite a number of officials out to this farm in Edgewood, British Columbia, accompanied by the RCMP. Now, let me just, I had a kind of a clip thing lined up for you. Oh, it's probably, is it here? Maybe not. When we sat so long in that, I'll have it here. Okay, there's one clip in particular that I want to share with you because it shows the height of the emotion here. But first I'll show you the most recent video coming out of the farm. And of course, the farm owners trying to save these ostriches, they say. It's such a long and complicated story. And there's been this over the top, I'm going to call it a propaganda campaign for these ostriches. I find the whole thing very distasteful because the people behind it have been very, and I'm going to come right out and say it, dishonest, and not telling people the truth and leading people to believe that they've been doing research of some kind into avian flu. And in fact, it wasn't that at all. They were researching COVID by injecting the birds over and over again with COVID antigens. 69 birds died. That's a little piece of information they seem to keep leaving out. They've been infected, reinfected. They've had multiple instances of birds dying off. They have issues with exposure to the outdoors, to infected wild birds coming in, spreading the disease, the avian flu. It's, as I say, it's complicated. And the antibodies that they say are so valuable have been so far used to produce masks with antibodies that were supposed to neutralize the COVID virus during the pandemic, but really don't seem to have taken off and certainly have not made their way to market here in North America. And also you can buy hair tonic to grow hair if you're going bald, so they say. Now they're saying that these birds have some super immunity to avian flu. 69 died out of the flock of the avian flu, but they apparently have super immunity. And this is what's going on out there just within the last, this was posted 22 minutes ago.
Well, I thought earlier they said they would.
Because my niece is coming and she's got 5 kids, so they better be let loose.
Amanda wanted to come too.
Will we let them walk?
This is a quarantine area, by the way.
She's got you pegged. Pretty girl.
And while it's
pretty bird.
rare,
Anyone doesn't think these are
disease can
sentient
spread
beings.
to humans.
Look at these
What do you want to
as-
say about the birds? Tell them what you were yelling up on the bleachers.
What
bud.
were you
Here,
were
turn
yelling
around.
at Bleacher? What were you yelling?
What were you yelling?
Couldn't gain that kind of love for the RCMP.
See?
They made the right.
Save the ostriches.
Yeah.
That's so cute. That's so cute. I love it when they get kids involved in politics. Let's get them out there where the RCMP is in a standoff with protesters. That's a great idea. I think that's fantastic. What about you? Now, just scroll down here. This was posted earlier in the day. Going to let some of this roll.
Help the situation. I sure hope you'll reach out to anything you can. Because you're Canadians, and this is what Canada needs. Because it's in fucking trouble.
The world needs this, not just Canada. The whole world has gone nuts. We could be heroes today. But you choose to be soulless. Why would you choose to be
I've been following some of the mainstream media reporting on this, which has been surface level at best, superficial.
Okay, everyone, let's all go into the field for now. And we're going to
This has been going on all day. Protesters, RCMP out there. Sort of a standoff of sorts. They have a liaison officer there trying to keep things calm.
Commander incoming. Stay away. Stay away. Volatile behavior suspected.
It's funny when you see both sides, huh?
Be gentlemen. Don't make us yell. Be a Canadian. Come over here.
Still want my ostrich, man. Yeah, that one right there. It's all we've asked. They might come in to kill the rest of them, but I think I just want that one right there. Because it's not hurting anybody. It's on the outside of the pen. But it's, you see, it's behind the line. There's a line here. I know you don't see it, but police and others have good imaginations. There's a line, and you just don't cross that line. Because if you do, you know, whatever happens, happens. They're not overly worried about that. Just doing their job, man. That's it. Take care of families, take care of themselves. I might have mistaken that one. I don't know. Okay. Gotta listen to the people. They're gonna win in the end. People are gonna win in the end. I don't want to leave that. It's got some liquid in there. I don't want you guys to trip over this for now.
Come on, Jimmy.
Jimmy.
Come on in.
Jimmy, I just had a respectful conversation with these liaisons. I asked them to please find the answer for me about how they can federally be up there breaking the no-fly zone.
Oh, there's drones up there breaking the no-fly zone. Yeah, that's
Federal
true.
law being broken by how does that work? That's double-sided.
Zone in on that. Hang on a second. Yeah.
Federal no-fly zone.
Yeah, not allowed to, and that's way bigger than my drone. That's beyond the size. I know you could do it with a license, but you know, I don't think it's legal.
But not in a federal no-fly zone.
There's nothing about this that's legal. Oh wow! Oh wow! Now here, you see this? Look at this. I want to show you something. Jimmy goes live. Asks for the ostrich, and they obliged. And I would like to thank you for that gesture.
Who's calling me?
Because they are a thin blue line. And it's tough. Being on either side. Thin blue line, I get it. Personal discretion, gentlemen. Personal discretion. Hey, 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 everybody give...
Jeff, I didn't hear that.
Give Jeff... No, he's on... Don't worry.
Okay, anyways, don't worry.
Everybody, come here. Stop. It was the will.
I'm doing my fucking best here to.
Just stop. You've done everything for this cause, dude. If
I'm
you weren't
sorry,
here,
guys.
lost cause. Stop.
Jeff, I wouldn't be here if it wasn't for you. I know what you stand for, brother. We all know.
I'm feeling everybody.
We all know.
You've done great. You've been the leader the entire time, bro.
You're doing something right.
Yeah, man.
Doing something right.
It's just a ring, man. Fuck what they say. You're doing awesome. You've been 100% the entire time, bro. Sorry, guys. I'm letting my anger. Let it out. Yeah, let it out.
Give up to the big fucking war.
You're allowed to be pissed, but it's not on you. Remember that. I spent 9 years in the army. Do you think that I would stand with this? Not these people, but this? Do you think I would stand with this? Do you think I could sleep at night? I have children. Do you think I could sleep at night being one of these men right now?
No. Somebody spoke out of turn.
You know better,
because we
Jeff.
were over there and tempers are...
Share the love.
So was Doug. Is Doug a cop?
No, they know.
Let's get
Hey,
this.
I was in the army for 9 years. When I came here, you've been doing the work of the commander. I know. You're doing great,
Nice deep
man.
breath in your nose and out your mouth.
Thank you.
Big.
Thank you. Share the live, guys. Share this out. We had over 1,000 people
You're kind of playing
joining
the
us
commander
earlier.
right now, right?
We
That's
can
the
do
toughest
this.
role.
We
Yeah.
can
You
be
got everyone coming at you,
united.
and
We
you've
can
been doing
stand
amazing.
together.
You're the fucking
These
lead.
gentlemen just need to hear our voices. They need to understand we're all united in this. These are our brothers. These are our
been doing great,
sisters.
man.
These are our children.
You're 100%.
No different
man.
than
Don't
your
even worry
family
about
dog.
that.
No different than your family cat. Why would you take it to have it destroyed for no reason? It makes no sense.
People will say anything. You've been 100% the entire time, man. It's all good.
I feel for you, brothers. I really do. But your silence isn't cutting it, guys. Take a sick day.
No more than any of us
time
did.
to take a leave.
No more than any of us did. Come on.
Don't turn a rotten apple.
And yes, I appreciate your service. I appreciate all you do to try and keep
Shit, I'm still alive.
Nobody realizes if we didn't do what they did, they would have fucking plowed through that road, arrested every single one. Nobody would even be here watching right now if we hadn't solidified a level of negotiation. They would have came in here and arrested every one of those people on the road.
I know. If it wasn't for you.
If we didn't establish some sort of level of communication.
I know.
No, you've been doing wonderful, man. Don't listen.
Nobody
would be here filming this right now.
It's nothing you did. It's nothing you did.
Yeah, don't let that one get to you. People get
It's nothing you did.
I'm not angry anymore. I just that took me off fucking guard. It took me off guard.
It's also because you assert a level of authority, and that's probably.
Well, somebody has to.
And we're happy you did. And somebody was misled in their thinking.
Come join us.
Please. You've been doing great, Jeff. Don't even fucking.
Guys,
you don't have to do this.
Your love is needed now more than ever. Make a phone call.
Your children will see this. Your children are going to know. Your mothers, your fathers, your aunties, your uncles. You are doing the work of the devil.
Thank you.
Who's silent professionalism serving? What is your silent professionalism serving?
Thank you.
Thank you.
Somebody step forward and
No such thing as an innocent bystander.
Thank you.
You will not sleep tonight, and you will not sleep tomorrow night. This will haunt you like nothing has ever haunted you before. And you look down. You look at that ground. You should look at that ground. Hold your head in shame, because you should hold your head in shame. Because if you had any balls, you would say, fuck this, and you would go home, and you would take care of your kids, and you would take care of your wives.
These are our children. These are our future.
your future.
Thank you. And have a heart.
You deserve better than this. You are being manipulated by a broken system. Your oath is being manipulated by the government. You did not sign up for this when you became officers of the law.
Do us a favor.
When did you sign up to work for the WOA?
And you will see a soulless human being.
No, this is the WOA. Everybody gets the two confused.
Remember what you thought about being an officer when you first got thinking about it?
Remember, we are neighbors. We eat at the same restaurants.
We're friends, for God's
We get gas at the same gas stations. We buy groceries at the same store. Our kids go to the same schools. You are us and we are you.
Thank you. It's just a job for you guys. Step out of it. Say no.
You can take a couple days off at least. Just a couple days.
Look at those guys you're working for. Turn around and look at them. You can't even look them in the eyes. Their eyes are black.
Why don't you talk amongst yourselves and you know this is not right.
Well, there's a group just as equal to the ones we're seeing, and they're hiding behind a tree right now.
What happens if we get the stay tomorrow, guys? We get the emergency stay. Remember, you were willing to help sacrifice these birds. And tomorrow when we get that stay, remember, you were willing to kill these animals.
Or just think what the press is going to think when people really get the story. Thank you.
Hey, Dave.
Thank you. 90,000.
Sorry, I'm squeezing my
90,000 right
Make
now.
your kids
Share the
proud.
love. Like, get this out there. We want this
Go
on the
home.
platform.
World is watching.
Global news is here. Rebel news is here. It's being shared worldwide. This is something that you won't be able to turn away from.
No, it's not there.
So this has been highly politicized. And the science has been
What's the
bastardized,
worst thing in the world imaginable?
twisted.
Hey, old guy with the hat.
Through all of
I hope
this.
the worst thing in
The
the
actual
world
story,
happens.
not really told.
Hey, dude, that's not true. Don't say that.
I
You don't
dug
know him.
into it very
That's not
extensively,
true. I get
as
it. You put
most
the
of
badge
you
with the
who watch
person. It's not the
regularly
same
know.
thing. Same
If
thing
you
as
want to
these
learn
people.
the
Same
real
thing as these
background of
people.
what was going on, go watch some of our old
Do you
episodes
think, dude, for a
explaining
second?
what really has been going on out at that farm.
Like, come on now. Let's get real.
Because that's what you're doing to that family. That's what you're doing. You are destroying them.
When I saw that's that Jeff Godry who was shouting something not right. Way too much emotion. That's not rational thinking. Saw way too much of that during the pandemic, seeing way too much of it all the way around still now, as people, I think, have their heads jacked into the internet way too much and just way too invested in stuff that they're seeing, hearing, being told information. People are being manipulated. They've personified those birds. They tell everybody that the 398 birds that are out there have names. Some of the birds they've taken pictures. This is Sally. This is whatever her name. Sarah was one of them. And what was it? When Charlie Kirk was murdered, they came out and said that they had named one of the birds Charlie. So now you see, if they go ahead with this call to stop the spread of avian flu to chickens, which are much more susceptible to the disease, and ostriches are effective carriers of the disease. And because they did test them and found that they were infected and determined that they posed an ongoing, recurring risk, that's why the call was ordered. You can agree with it, disagree with it. I see very clearly that this is highly politicized. But if the call goes forward now, of course, you're not just culling birds, you're murdering ostriches, personified ostriches with human traits overlaid onto them, superimposed onto these birds to make them seem like pets. And not only that, you're repeating the assassination of Charlie.
Greetings, brave Mavericks. Our quest for truth continues. We go beyond fake news. Together we expose propaganda. Together we pull others out of rabbit holes. We are maverick thinkers. We are all unique individuals, defenders of individual rights and freedoms, credible, trusted, grounded in reality. Maverick News, Maverick News. Defending free speech, free speech. Donate at freedomreporters.com. Do it now. Tomorrow may be too late. Maverick News. The world is watching.
The farm owners have been given due process. They've gone to court. They've lost. They had an appeal. They lost. They want to take it all the way to the Supreme Court. It's highly unlikely the Supreme Court would hear the case. The process of putting the application forward is ongoing, as I understand it. But the CFIA has the authority, after is it 2 or 3 court losses to proceed with this call. And it is highly politicized. This has MAGA fingerprints all over it, not just in the background, but right up front. It has big oil money all over it. It has agribusiness, U.S. agribusiness fingerprints all over it. This is a vehicle for political and systemic change in Canada, driven by big U.S. corporate interests. This is an effort to change Canada's food policies as they relate to the management of the poultry industry, supply side management, tariffs, supply management in agribusiness in Canada, and the way that we manage avian flu, which the United States, as I indicated earlier in the broadcast, the United States wants Canada in alignment with them on the policies of avian flu management, on all these policies, because while Trump is saying that Canada treats the United States poorly and points to tariffs and other non-tariff barriers, it says that he doesn't need Canada. They very much want Canada. That's why the billionaire John Catsimatidis, who owns a grocery store chain in New York State and in New York, has come out with his radio station that he also owns, this multi-billionaire, to put his weight behind the Save the Ostrich movement out of that BC farm. Interestingly, John Catsimatidis also he owns the company that is the largest U.S. purchaser of Alberta oil. And these things all dovetail, they all come together. And then you tell me that this is about the science and about animal rights, posts online with pictures of the ostriches holding up signs saying, we want our constitutional rights. Ostriches do not have constitutional rights. Humans, Canadian citizens in Canada have constitutional rights, not the ostriches themselves. And this is U.S. influence at a time when the President of the United States keeps bringing up this 51st state rhetoric and is waging economic war against all of the traditional U.S. allies, including Canada, through tariffs. And he has been targeting agribusiness through those economic warfare policies. And in his camp, in Trump's camp, you have John Catsimatidis, owner of WABC Radio, Dr. Oz, RFK Jr., all three have weighed in on this issue out at the farm, putting pressure on the Canadian government to bend the knee and fall into line with the changes that they've been making on the U.S. side by saving these birds. And again, I think within the last couple of days, because we've seen the CFIA moving into position, Catsimatidis has made a statement, I believe it was him, saying that he would again take these birds in. And I really seriously doubt it, but I say, if that's really what they want, send them all down to Dr. Oz's farm. He offered to take the stupid birds too, and they are stupid. Ostriches are not smart. They're kind of dumb and aggressive and dangerous. They're not as cute as everybody thinks they are. It takes a lot to take care of them and a lot of money. And the only way that those birds can really survive is if they pay for themselves. And that's if some sort of big research money is thrown into that farm. And if you save these birds, that's really where they want to take it. They want government grants. They're also heavily invested, as we showed you on this program. They have a big investment already prepaid for these COVID antigens that they've been injecting into the birds in order to produce COVID antibodies so that they can send these eggs over to this place in Japan or whatever, this university in Japan where this doctor takes them and makes hair tonic to grow hair with the antibodies. And they say that they'll cure virtually everything under the sun. Jim Kerr, who was in that video, saw videos. I was getting ready for tonight's broadcast. He was frying up an ostrich egg, saying that by eating the ostrich eggs, you don't need pharmaceuticals because you get all the great antibodies from the ostrich eggs, telling people that that's the science. They have no studies to prove any of these claims at all. And even the work that they've been doing on the COVID side, the methodology is flawed. They don't have a controlled environment. The research is really not valid. That's why the CFIA is proceeding with the call, because all the claims that they've made really just don't hold water. But hey, the media, the mainstream media that everybody has been so critical and suspicious of for all this, well, certainly since the pandemic, now all the people who are in this camp, because it's the latest thing to support, they're all behind the ostriches. It makes no sense whatsoever. The same people who are concerned about the lockdowns, the mandates, the COVID jabberoonies, and now they're out there trying to defend this open air biolab research facility for COVID research. It blows my mind. But hey, have at it. It's almost a free country. So the protesters are out there. They've spent months out there, invested their time, dedicated a big portion of their lives to saving these crazy ostriches. and the level of emotion that I could see in that guy's eyes says to me that guy's not thinking straight. And I've spoken to other people who are out there protesting before who left very disgruntled and disillusioned because they're not buying it anymore because they've seen the way that the birds are treated, the way the people have been treated, a lot of the protesters. I've had lengthy conversations with people who prefer to remain anonymous, and I totally get it. And a lot of the people who live out there, not happy about living next door to an open-air COVID biolab, not happy about the way these protesters have handled all of this, being disruptive, not happy about it at all. I'm going to get to that in a moment, but the thing that really concerns me the most is the way that we're getting all this U.S. political interference up here in Canada on this issue. We don't need the United States telling us how to run our affairs. That I find the most distasteful element to this story altogether. Whether the government's getting it right or getting it wrong, it's up to us as Canadians to deal with this stuff ourselves. But some people keep reaching out to the United States to get them, to the Trump administration, to intervene somehow, not on this issue, but on many issues, to put pressure on the Canadian government from the U.S. government to affect political change in our country. How would Americans feel if at every turn somebody on the U.S. side was reaching out to the Canadian government to tell Trump and his administration how to run? Do you think that they would listen to Mark Carney saying, you know, we don't think that the way that you run your goldfish fishing program is proper. We want you to change that. They're not going to listen. They don't. It's not our business. It's not their business, but we're not Americans. But here's Katie Pasitny from the Universal Ostrich Farm. Again, where is she tonight? She's out there. A last minute plea. This is it. We've been hearing that for quite a while. And she wants people to run out to the farm. And she's reaching out directly, I guess, to President Trump tonight. And she has had connections with RFK Jr., Dr. Oz, John Catsimatidis. She's back on social media, and this being shared on the WABC radio station Facebook page tonight. Free to do it, but oh, say can you see?
Mr. Trump, President Trump, this is a cry out, a plea from Canada. Please stop the slaughter of almost 400 healthy ostriches that are going to suffer today or tomorrow. We need a miracle. The world has been calling on a miracle. This is of interest, as you know, I know you know. Yeah, you would say hello. They are claiming that these animals are virulent and that have a virus and that they're sick, but instead these ostriches hold the key to humanity with their antibodies that can help with therapeutics and new innovative science that can actually make us less reliant on vaccinations and pills. This is for our children. This is for our grandchildren. This is for freedom. This is for hope. All of our animals have names. Our oldest is 35. And Carney, Mark Carney, nobody will listen. All of our politicians have just turned a blind eye. Please help us. President Trump, please help us in Canada. The world needs you right now. We need leadership. We admire your leadership and we are calling on you. Please, please help us. At Universal Ostrich Farms in Edgewood, British Columbia, we are asking for a miracle. Thank you from Katie Pasitny.
I have a message for President Trump, too. Mind your own damn business. Keep your nose out of my damn country. Stay on your side of the damn border. And let us Canadian citizens, tend to our own affairs. We don't need the U.S. government to come up here and save the ostriches or save us from anything else.
Maverick News. Fighting for freedom.
And like I said, even the mainstream media not covering this thoroughly at all. I mean, there's been some reporting that has been somewhat balanced, but generally speaking, the mainstream media is going for the emotional hook on this as well. That's what gets people, the emotional hook, not the facts, not the science. That is for damn sure. But a lot of the neighbors out there, pretty damn upset about the way that farm operates, the health hazards that it presents to the community, the risks that it has escalated, the risk level that it has escalated for other farming operations, not just in the region, the province and country, and even continent-wide. Open air, wildlife getting in and out of the ostrich containment area, coming into contact with those birds, which have been infected, reinfected again, multiple times, many of them dying. Oh, but they have super immunity. They can't die. Yes, they can. Yes, they do. And more seriously than that, they survive and carry the virus. Letter to Vernon Lake Country Monashi MP Scott Anderson on Ostrich Farm. This is from the Vernon, BC Morning Star publication. This is a letter to the editor, essentially, from a Mildred McFarlane. Just posted, fresh, says right here, this is a letter to the local MP, Scott Anderson, who's been involved in this. Says, you are not alone. This is from Mildred. Says, you are not alone in coming and going to Universal Ostrich Farms, but I would have expected a member of Parliament to hold a higher standard of conduct and abide by these regulations laid out by CFIA. Oh, to be a member of parliament, able to defy federal regulations and enter an avian flu quarantine zone with no fear of legal repercussions. As you posted a picture more than once of yourself hugging the ostrich ladies in front of the ostrich pens, of course. You are not alone in coming and going to Universal Ostrich Farms, but I would have expected a member of parliament to hold a higher standard of conduct and abide by these regulations laid out by the CFIA. You seem to not realize or care that everyone else in Edgewood are also your constituents, because you have posted photos of yourself at Universal Ostrich Farms, but have not made any effort to speak to the community as a whole about this situation. A public meeting would have been appreciated for us to hear your side and to hear and you to hear our side. It seems you don't feel the need for any votes other than the 3 at UOF. Out of curiosity, you might want to visit the CFIA website just to learn the extent of the quarantine zones. Yes, there are 2 of them, and review the restrictions therein. This is my second letter to you from Mildred. The first one did not get a reply, and you seem to not have a phone number for your Vernon office. Why is that? Constituents need easy access to their parliamentary representatives. Mildred McFarlane, Edgewood, BC. Yeah, we've covered it pretty extensively. I encourage you, if you haven't seen the work we did to hear on this story, to go back and watch those episodes from months ago, where I dug in pretty deep and showed the weird science that they say that they're employing out there. The methodology, not valid. Doesn't work. These birds, basically, in my estimation, as an experienced journalist, not as a scientist, but as an experienced journalist, having covered, some healthcare stuff over the years and scientific things, I'd say those birds are pretty much worthless at this point for anything valid. You can't eat them. Can't put them into the food chain. I could go on and on about this. But you've got a standoff continuing out there. We'll see where it goes. It's not about the science. It isn't. It is about the politics. Let me take another quick break. I'm going to look for something here. Come back. I've got some perspective to share with you on this, and it ties into the whole Charlie Kirk thing to all of this stuff tonight. Dovetails, as a lot of politics does.
Someone very profoundly once said many years ago that if fascism ever comes to America, it'll come in the name of liberalism.
Well, I think it's time we ask ourselves if we still know the freedoms that were intended for us by the Founding Fathers. If we lose freedom here, there's no place to escape to. This is the last stand on Earth.
The entire world is watching.
Every dictator, every crazy dictator in the world is watching. The world is watching. On TV, the entire world is watching. On social media.
But the entire world is watching, and yes, they are seeing what we have apparently bravely been willing to say that others are thinking.
Stand for freedom. Literally stand for freedom. Let's get this done. The entire world is watching.
We're at war with the most dangerous enemy that has ever faced mankind in his long climb from the swamp to the stars.
Maverick News. Maverick News. Maverick News.
Let me have more control of my own destiny.
The world is watching.
All this stuff, even during the pandemic, and especially right now, makes me think of communism, what communists have done in the past with regard to science. It worries me a lot. I'm going to get to that in a moment, but I did produce this other thing a while back related to the gators. Just to kind of illustrate the absurdity of what's going on out at that ostrich farm. They're saying that because some of the birds, or a lot of the birds survived the bird flu, got sick, and then they say they recovered. But we know that studies have shown that they're carriers, or if they're efficient carriers of avian flu, or can be. I went looking up randomly some stuff about other creatures, and I discovered that alligators, exactly the same thing. They can be infected with bird flu, but not die from it. They don't die at all from the bird flu, but they're effective carriers of the disease as well, or can be, but they don't die. And so I said a while back, what we need to save all those gators down at Alligator Alcatraz. They're being used as slave labor, tongue in cheek, right? But the logic is the same. If you're going to save these ostriches, who's going to pay for them? Anyway, you're going to save the ostriches because you say that they have some special immunity. So too do the gators. Why don't you study the gators? Exactly the same thing. And I'm going to play this, then we're going to come back on the other side of this song. I've got a lot more to share. We're going to dig into this Charlie Kirk stuff because that's pretty absurd, some of it too. Be right back. Gotta have a Gatorade concert to save the gators.
Down in the swamp where the moss hangs low, there's a secret jail most folks don't know. Gators guarded, but they're locked in too, working for nothing like good old fools. Built by Ron with a heavy hand, time to break them out, take a stand. All we need Gatorade, let the gators go. They outlive the dinos, beat the bird flu blow. No more working for a petty dictator. Raise your voice and shout later, Gator. Their blood's got power, science agrees. Cures and answers hidden in the reeds. The greedy man just won't control. They cage the swamp and sell its soul. Trump tweets lies from a golf cart throne, while the gators suffer all alone. All we need Gatorade, sound down the call from the Everglades to the concert hall. The ancient, strong, and greater than haters. Time to roar out loud, later Gator. Now picture this, a swampy stage, bayou crowd. Gators marching, snapping proud. Santa's running from the beat as scaly freedom hits the street. They ain't monsters, they're survivors' friend. It's time their prison days should end. Raise your hand, stomp that ground, let the Gator anthem shake this town. We need Gatorade, swamp hearts unite. Play that slide guitar into the night. They've earned their peace, not another jailer. Sing it strong now, later Gator. Later Gator. Later Gator. Gatorade is canned, and they're taking the swamp back.
And they're closing that Alligator Alcatraz down. Short-lived chapter in the political theater that is MAGA, the MAGA presidency 2.0. All this stuff, though, reminds me, it makes me think of what communists have done, authoritarians, but especially communists, in the past. I see some really concerning parallels way too close for comfort. You know, they have that saying, history may not repeat itself, but it sure rhymes. And right now, it is echoing the darkest chapters of communist revolutions in the halls of American public health. And now in Canada, whether you're looking at the ostriches, what's going on with RFK Jr., we're talking about how the Bolsheviks, the Maoists, the Khmer Rouge, thugs targeted scientists, teachers, truth tellers to crush dissent, bend reality to their will. Now, you fast forward to today in 2025, and RFK Jr.'s Make America Healthy Again crusade at the CDC kind of looks like a twisted remix in a lot of ways. I'm not saying that they shouldn't study what's going on with Tylenol. There may be some real valid science there. Let's dig down and get to that. But there's been some kind of kooky stuff coming out of RFK's mouth too. And President Trump got a lot of faith in the father of the vaccine there, Akita Homata, whatever you pronounce that. So let's rewind to the Red Menace, Stalin, Soviet Union, the Great Purge. It wasn't just about gulags. It was an intellectual bloodbath. Thousands of scientists, like geneticists, like, what was the guy's name? Nikolai Vavilov. They starved him in prison for daring to challenge state-backed pseudoscience. Why? Because Lysenkoism, the ideological Frankenstein, declared genetics bourgeois nonsense and promised bumper crops through willpower alone. Result, famines that killed millions. Biology set back decades. Mao's Cultural Revolution. Red Guards. They dragged professors through the streets, smashing libraries and re-educating teachers in labor camps to purge the four olds science. If it didn't toe the Maoist line, it got the boot. Universities shuttered. Research halted, all to forge a new obedient proletariat mind. And let us not forget Pol Pot's killing fields in Cambodia. Glasses, people who wore glasses, presumed intellectuals, they got macheted to death because book smarts threatened the agrarian utopia that they sought. Teachers, doctors, engineers wiped out en masse. 25% of the educated class gone. Education burned. Science irrelevant. The why is simple, folks. Communists saw thinkers as viruses in the body politic. They targeted them to monopolize truth, eliminate opposition, and rewrite reality through force. Rewrite reality. No debate, no evidence, just loyalty all the way to the grave. Now take a look at what's going on in Washington, D.C. 2025, RFK Jr. struts in like a modern-day commissar, vowing to restore trust in the CDC by torching it from the inside. 7 months in, and it's a purge, mass layoffs across CDC, FDA, NIH, thousands of scientists shown the door. Budget slashed nearly in half. Now, you can sit there and you can say, oh, they weren't following the science. Therein lies part of the problem. Whoever's in charge gets to decide what the real science is. Then you're supposed to believe them. I already indicated earlier in the broadcast that government websites, the information on there has been changed to be completely contradictory to what was in place during the last administration. RFK Jr. ousted CDC Director Susan Monarez after she refused to rubber stamp unscientific directives, as we showed you during her testimony during that oversight committee hearing. And he's fired more experts. Her warning to Congress, we're heading to, quote, a dangerous place with public health. Gutted for politics. Look at the reforms. RFK's handpicked ACIP panel stacked with vaccine skeptics just voted to weaken COVID shot recommendations, making it an individual decision after clinician consults ditching universal access for everyone over 6 months. They axed the combined MMRV vaccine for young kids over seizure fears, ignoring data that it's safe and effective. I don't know if it is or if it isn't. I didn't get it. I don't trust it. I don't think that they tested it enough before they told everybody they had to go get it, but they're still offering it to people. Trump 2.0, he's still pushing the vax, while RFK Jr. puts up this front saying they're against it. And yet when I go to their websites, they're still advocating for it. They're still making it available, but now some people have to pay. I don't know where they're at with it all. None of it makes any bloody sense to me, but it is chaotic. Maybe that's the goal. And people, I think, are very confused, still don't know whether they should or they shouldn't, but not just on that vaccine, which I think in hindsight has been something of a Trojan horse, ushering in this, creating chaos and distrust to pave the way for these guys now to come in and seize control to now create even more chaos. And who gave us the vaccine? The guys in the White House right now. And now I don't have a lot of confidence in somebody who can't pronounce acetaminophen. And they're changing the policies before they do the studies to validate what they're saying, because the studies that they're quoting are not conclusive. At least that's the information that I'm seeing out there. So I don't know what the truth is, and therein lies the problem. I can't trust the science that the government says is science at this point, because I don't trust somebody who can't pronounce acetaminophen. He has a couple of guys there beside him who seem to be competent. And I like Dr. J. Bhattacharya, but I think RFK Jr. is a little bit wacky and very political, and he's not a doctor. And he's made a lot of money by scaring people. Problem is, we just don't know what's true anymore. And that ties into what I'm talking about right here, even with what the communists have done, because in the past, to maintain control, seize control, they've gone after intellectuals, science. And I'm seeing that. I've been seeing it for a long time. People, especially, no offense, but on the sort of the freedom, conservative side, you get a lot of faith and sometimes not quite so much science and distrust in science, and people not just not trusting it, but calling it evil. And as a result, I think we're seeing, it runs the gamut, not just in terms of medicine, but also in digital technology, cryptocurrencies, phones that people are afraid will track you, which they do. But people are afraid of lampposts now. They're afraid of the sky. Has RFK Jr. done anything to get rid of those chemtrails? I still see them. He said it was the first thing he was going to do when he got into power. Has he? Now, everything he's doing as part of the purge, and that's just the healthcare side. Trump is purging every government department. He calls it cleaning house for transparency, but echoes Stalin bad data, purge the dissenters. Like Mao ideology, Trump's evidence. Vaccines aren't personal choice when outbreaks kill, I guess. Maybe that's what the message was. Is that true? I don't know. Yes, I do. They went way too far. And they didn't have the science to back it up then, but they did it anyway. Why do I feel like they're still kind of taking that same approach even now? And it's all politicized. The thing with those ostriches is not about those damn birds. It's about the politics. It's about the 51st state. It's about our food sovereignty, not in the way that they're telling you out of that farm. They want the Canadian food management policies, the non-tariff trade barriers that are in place because the call approach, the policies on culling birds on the U.S. side is changing because RFK Jr. has been pushing that, and they want Canada to fall into line with that. It's more about that than about any of the science. You want clean food? I'll tell you, really, a big part of the thing that's going on out there. Chickens have been selectively bred for many, many decades. And so today, chickens, because they've been selectively bred to grow very quickly or to produce a lot of eggs, they're like genetically super birds, but when you selectively breed any biological organism in order to get certain traits like fast growth, good meat production for agriculture, and that's what chickens are largely about, you kind of also get unintended consequences like anything that's managed by human beings instead of just nature. You breed out some of the immune system, and so they become more susceptible to diseases. That's one of the reasons, I think, if you go look up the studies, you'll see that that's one of the reasons chickens are so susceptible to bird flu, because over many decades they have immune systems that are not quite as robust, and then you have these evolving viruses that, when exposed to the chickens, it rips through entire populations of chickens, and they're decimated. Like 90% of them, 95%, they all die. Not like the ostriches, it's a little bit different. So, but that has been done in a more natural way through selective breeding, not through like genetic modification artificially or mRNA vaccines and things like that. But that's why the birds are so susceptible, that the chickens are so susceptible. But we're not vaccinating the birds. See, we don't vaccinate the chickens to combat the avian flu because we want our food supply in Canada to be clean. Down in the States, RFK Jr. has rubber stamped some research into the chicken vaccination programs. And the other thing that they're doing is, they're going to start taking those birds. From what I'm seeing, it looks like they're going to start taking birds that are infected with bird flu and just slaughtering them and feeding them to people anyway. Because if you cook it, they say that it can't transfer to humans. But I don't want to eat birds that have been infected with bird flu. And that's what's really on the line out of that farm in Edgewood, BC. It isn't really about the ostriches. It's about the damn chickens. And it's about agricultural, it's about these policies and how to manage avian flu. And they're controversial. And that should play out. But it's a Canadian issue on this side of the border. And you can consult with the U.S. side. But calling on President Trump to come and stop it, that's like an intervention. Totally inappropriate. And there's too much of that kind of call for U.S. intervention in Canada right now. It's very alarming. It's like they're stacking these issues one on top of the other, whether it's fentanyl, the manufactured drug crisis, which is not really quite true, or border security or immigration. Too many terrorists coming from Canada to the United States. James Bowder seeking political asylum for being politically persecuted. Ostriches. This authoritarian, fascistic, communist government that we have up here in Canada. Well, they call birds in the United States too. A lot. They still do it, even with RFK Jr. in his position, advocating against it, but it still goes on down there. So don't kid yourselves. You think that they're not doing the same thing in the United States, and yet they're putting pressure on the Canadian government to save these damn ostriches. it's all weird until you really start to look at the underlying roots and where all of these things go. That's all weird. The whole thing with Charlie Kirk has been weird. They named one of those ostriches Charlie. Tell me that this isn't a political issue when they name one of the ostriches Charlie. And I challenge the people at the farm to line up all 398 birds, if they even have that many out there still, and start naming them for me. Oh, and I've not been able, still have not been able to acquire any of the COVID antigens that Dr. Pellick, who has been defending the farm, and said that you can get that antigen basically anywhere. Haven't been able to get any. I've tried because I was, as I told you, I was going to open my own open air biolab in my backyard too, because he said that you don't need a permit for that. So much lying going on out there. And it makes me nauseous because there's so much truly at stake. Not that I'm trying to defend our darn government, because sometimes they do some crazy, wacky things. But we're a sovereign nation, and we should be solving our own problems. The United States has no business up here. Dr. Oz, RFK Jr., and Donald Trump have no business meddling in what's going on out at that farm, because they're just making everything worse. In my estimation, the farm owners should have accepted the outcome, taken the compensation for the birds, and do like all the other farmers do. Make the best of a bad situation, and then try to do better and keep your birds contained properly so that they don't keep getting infected with viruses and dying. That would be a really good start. And then you wouldn't have these problems to this degree. Okay, hang on. We're going to come back and dig into this Charlie Kirk weirdness on the other side. Don't go away. Be right back.
Maverick News. The world is watching.
Okay, I watched, the Charlie Kirk memorial. I heard that 100 million people watched. 100 million people worldwide. Is that true? I don't know. Certainly close to 100,000 in person at the stadium. And I found the whole thing weird. Everything about it just seemed really weird. It didn't feel like there was a lot of sadness, like I guess there sort of was, but I told you I needed a little more time to process it all, to take it all in. Plus yesterday, you see, because it was supposed to be a memorial, I was really trying to choose my words very carefully to make sure that I was respectful. I'm still trying to be. I don't want to speak ill of the dead at all. I was not a Charlie Kirk watcher. I know that sometimes he said things that were, in the view of some people, controversial. I didn't pay enough attention to him to form a strong opinion about him. But what I saw yesterday, one word kept coming to mind: exploitation. They were exploiting his death for political purposes. And I found it kind of gross at times. And this is not, this is in no way trying to criticize Charlie Kirk. I don't want to speak ill of the dead. Quite the contrary. I think that they, in many ways, with that over-the-top exhibition of MAGA loyalty, I think they were showing a degree of disrespect. It was just so strange. And a lot of stuff online. Let me just, let's just run a few clips here tonight to kind of illustrate my point. Okay, here's, this might be a TikTok thing posted over to, I don't know what it is, Truth, or one of the other social media platforms, YouTube. It's a short.
Nobody realized that less than 24 hours after Trump ordered flags to be flown at half-staff to honor Charlie Kirk, 3 states refused to comply, making Trump look foolish. First, New York State Governor Kathy Hochul refused to issue a statewide order to lower flags. As a Democratic stronghold, Hochul usually avoids rushing to follow Trump's directives. She also questioned Trump's bias toward Republicans, noting that if flags were to be lowered for Charlie Kirk, then flags should also have been lowered recently for Melissa Hortman, who was attacked. Second, New Jersey, the state government, did not issue a statewide flag-lowering order. They stated that they were merely following the regular flag protocols and saw no need for special adjustments. Many perceived this as a way to avoid appearing to make a political statement in honor of a conservative figure. Finally, Alabama. Although the state is predominantly conservative, some county officials insist that flags should not be lowered for individuals arbitrarily and that they strictly follow legal requirements. The prevailing mindset in these areas is to honor. Nobody realized that.
So there's a lot of that stuff sort of being posted. I'm dropping my acetaminophen pills. Sorry about that. They're making a jingling noise. The other thing I found weird was this. Trump literally did a little dance. They played what was it, God Bless America, and Erica Kirk standing there with him, and he literally did this little dance, and I thought, gross. And she smiles during all of this. The distraught widow stood up there and sort of smiled, and then you can see that partway through, well, look. So she, right there, I'll put it up again. Then as she's smiling, and then she realizes I'm not supposed to be smiling. I'm supposed to be sad. So she bows her head. I don't know what her emotional state is. He's sort of taking the lead. She's, I guess, following him, and he's doing, I don't know, man. This is the weirdest memorial service I think I've ever witnessed. Just bizarro land. Bizarro. Okay, I'm going to take a little break. I'm going to come back. Got lots more here, but I need a moment to find a clip for you. So stay with me.
Greetings, brave Mavericks. Our quest for truth continues. We go beyond fake news. Together we expose propaganda. Together we pull others out of rabbit holes. We are maverick thinkers. We are all unique individuals, defenders of individual rights and freedoms, credible, trusted, grounded in reality. Maverick News, Maverick News. Defending free speech, free speech. Donate at freedomreporters.com. Do it now. Tomorrow may be too late. Maverick News. The world is watching.
Okay. The other thing that happened, I saw it. I thought of this immediately. I didn't say anything yesterday because I did not want to be disrespectful, and I wasn't sure why she did it. But did you see the hand sign that Erica Kirk flashed or held up when she was there with President Trump? It's now it's going viral, and a lot of people wondering what it's really all about. Oh, that's not the right one. Hang on. Get down off there, you. Okay, now. Some people are saying that, and this is why I didn't say anything yesterday, because some people are saying that she made the devil horn sign, and I didn't want to be the one to come right out and say it with her hands, with their fingers. Okay? I didn't want to be the one to accuse her of that. I thought, well, yeah, it could be something else. Why is she doing it? So some people are saying, oh, it's vile if, you're making this vile claim about Erica Kirk's hand signal sweeps internet in wake of Charlie Kirk memorial. I don't know if the
Build
video.
skills that.
So if you scroll down, people on social media are bizarrely accusing Erica Kirk. What publication is this? This is the Daily Mail. Erica Kirk making the devil horn symbol with her hand during her husband's memorial service in Arizona on Sunday. Charlie Kirk's grieving widow made a hand gesture, which means "I love you" in sign language, and it can mean that as well. While on stage beside President Trump at his memorial, after making a speech in tribute to her late husband, Kirk, 36, who is a devout Christian, raised her arm with her index and pinky fingers raised. There it is. But it's also the devil horn sign. And as soon as she did it, I was like, oh my God, she's at a Christian revival, because I called it a revival yesterday. Today, I think in hindsight, even that isn't really an accurate description of what was going on out there yesterday. But there she is with that hand sign up in the air. And I thought, my God, what are you doing? Well, it could mean I love you. It could be the devil horns. It could be something else. It can mean several different things. But here's the thing. You think she doesn't know that? You think she doesn't know that people would know these things? See, I would not flash that sign if I were on stage. Because of that, because I know that some people will interpret it as the devil horn sign, which I think is the most common use of it. In fact, I also thought of this. Gene Simmons. Here, I'll show you. He actually tried to trademark that. The devil horns, the devil horn hand sign. Gene Simmons from Kiss. There he is. There it is. So tell me that that's not what that means. It can mean that. It does mean that, too. I think most people, far fewer people would know that it means I love you in sign language. But we'll give Erica Kirk the benefit of the doubt. That being said, in this current political environment and in this period of social unrest, distrust, in an age of AI and conspiracy theories, I would say bad choice. Not the wisest of things to do, holding up that hand sign. The other thing that was weird was that it felt not so much like a memorial or a wake. It was like a political rally. As I said at the beginning of the, I'm sorry, but it's just so blatantly obvious. They've put the fun back in funeral. And certainly the politics. Firework? That seemed very odd to me. I'll pull the audio down so we don't get a copyright strike. And she's not dressed in black, she's dressed in white. White. Okay. Personal choice. Benefit of the doubt again. But to me, very strange. And any way you look at this, it genuine or not, you can make your own assessment, but it's a show. Televised worldwide, 100 million people were told to watch this. That in itself, I think, is weird. Why such a massive response? Charlie Kirk wasn't even the top conservative influencer out there, but he certainly checks all the boxes for what would be needed, and what fits right now is a political martyr. And so they're making the most of it. They are, in my view, really exploiting his death. Again, I'm not speaking ill of the dead. Quite the opposite. I am saying, hey, we should be careful about what we're doing and how we react to these things, because they're using this to manipulate us. They're appealing to us on an emotional level in order to get a response. And while Erica Kirk, a lot of people applauding her for what she said yesterday, that she even forgives her husband's killer. And I applaud that. The thing that we're hearing really more about is two things. First, President Trump saying that while she may forgive the killer, he hates his political enemies. As the president of the United States, you would think that he would try to dial things down, turn down the temperature so that we don't get more conflict in the country, especially at a time when you literally have a lot of people talking about a civil war and calling for a war, wanting a war of some kind. You'd think that he would try to turn the temperature down. But no, he stands up there yesterday and says he hates his political enemies, and he's not the only one. Also, Stephen Miller, who is one of the driving forces, if not the main driving force, I think, behind the Trump administration right now. What did he do? He came out and basically called for revenge. Extremely divisive rhetoric from him, and he wasn't the only one yesterday speaking like this. Here's a clip from him that some people say he's being accused, actually, of almost plagiarizing a prominent Nazi from World War II.
Storm whispers to the warrior that you cannot withstand my strength. And the warrior whispers back, I am the storm. Erica is the storm. We are the storm. And our enemies cannot comprehend our strength, our determination, our resolve, our passion. Our lineage and our legacy hails back to Athens, to Rome, to Philadelphia, to Monticello. Our ancestors built the cities. They produced the art and architecture. They built the industry. Erica stands on the shoulders of thousands of years of warriors, of women who raised up families, raised up city, raised up industry, raised up civilization, who pulled us out of the caves and the darkness into the light. The light will defeat the dark. We will prevail over the forces of wickedness and evil. They cannot imagine what they have awakened. They cannot conceive of the army that they have arisen in all of us. Because we stand for what is good, what is virtuous, what is noble. And to those trying to incite violence against us, those trying to foment hatred against us, what do you have? You have nothing. You are nothing. You are wickedness, you are jealousy, you are envy, you are hatred. You are nothing. You can build nothing. You can produce nothing. You can create nothing. We are the ones who build. We are the ones who create. We are the ones who lift up humanity. You thought you could kill Charlie Kirk? You have made him immortal. You have immortalized Charlie Kirk. And now millions will carry on his legacy.
Them's fighting words. That makes me nervous. And the other thing that makes me nervous is the way people have reacted to that. I go online, I see articles like this from people I think who are afraid of what's going on in the White House, as I am. I'm afraid. I don't like it. This is, I don't know what this publication, never heard of it before, newsbreak.com, raw story, a curation news site, I guess. Written by Travis Geddes, whoever that is. Scary as hell is the headline here. Onlookers horrified as Stephen Miller parrots Nazi speech. This is actually an article that has been rewritten, regurgitated, recycled by quite a number of outlets out there. And so everybody's accusing everybody else of being a Nazi of some kind. Stephen Miller, it says, delivered a venomous speech at right-wing activist Charlie Kirk's memorial service that bore a close resemblance to one given by a notorious Nazi leader at a similar event. According to reports, the White House Deputy Chief of Staff and top advisor to President Trump called on mourners to honor the slain 31-year-old by channeling their grief into action against their political enemies, using language that mirrored a 1932 speech given by Nazi propagandist Joseph Goebbels, the memory of 22-year-old paramilitary activist whose murder turned him into a fascist martyr. Quote, the day that Charlie died, the angels wept, but those tears had been turned into fire in our hearts, and that fire burns with a righteous fury that our enemies cannot comprehend or understand, Miller said, paying tribute to Kirk's widow, Erica. And the quote goes on, but I see Erica and her strength and her courage. I am reminded of a famous expression. The storm whispers to the warrior that you cannot withstand my strength, and the warrior whispers back, I am the storm. Erica is the storm. We are the storm, and our enemies cannot comprehend our strength, our determination, our resolve, our passion. So a lot of people online pointing out how closely what he said mirrors or echoes the word choices in the Goebbels speech used to elevate Horst Wessel, a young member of the Sturmteigling. I can't pronounce the German name, or the stormtroopers as they were known. That's how I refer to them, because I can't pronounce that German word, who was killed by in 1930 by members of the Communist Party of Germany, because the fascists and the communists always used to fight, but now they're coming together in a convergence. But we'll talk about that more later. His political martyrdom inspired the Nazi Party's official anthem, which later became the country's co-official anthem. So here's what was written on the Nazi side. So our dead comrade Horst Wessel wrote, and we are fulfilling his prophecy, Goebbels said. According to Stewartson's post, the others may lie, slander, and pour their scorn on us. Their political days are numbered. They promised you, workers, citizens, and creative Germans, a Reich of freedom and beauty and dignity. People rise up and storm, break loose. Is that close? So, dear comrade, we're fulfilling his prophecy. The storm whispers to the warrior that you cannot withstand my strength. The others may lie, slander, and pour the scorn upon us. But they promise you, workers, citizens, people rise up and storm, break loose. He added, Goebbels, then the Nazi propagandist of Berlin, she added, used the speech to rally supporters by invoking the martyrdom of Horst Wessel. Is there anything else that he was said here? Well, anyway, these are people on the Democrat left progressive side concerned about what they're seeing there at the rally yesterday. Those people on the left can be pretty freaking brutal too, as we found out when they were in charge. But this is concerning because we're seeing a lot of pushback now. And now that the purge has been happening and Trump has seized control on so many levels of the government, he's really in a position where he can do a lot of really things that he just kind of wants. Here's the NBC story about this, kind of illustrating the points that I've been making in a concise way. Charlie Kirk's memorial serves as a conservative revival, the word I used yesterday, mixing calls for forgiveness and vengeance. And that vengeance is what I'm concerned about. Even Tucker Carlson yesterday indicating that clearly there's something coming next. Whatever that thing is, that's what's got me concerned. And he seems to know something I don't. And he is dialed in more than I am on the Trump administration side. Some called for forgiveness and unity Sunday at Charlie Kirk's memorial in Arizona, it says here. Others called for combat and retribution. We did hear that. But one thing the Republican leaders had in common in their speeches was that the activist's assassination should be a turning point, the start of a revival for religious conservatives. Tens of thousands of mourners gathered in State Farm Stadium in Glendale, Arizona on Sunday afternoon. Blah, 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 blah. The point is, yeah, we've even heard calls for really getting even, I think, is not an inaccurate or inappropriate way to refer to what J.D. Vance has been saying. He said yesterday, the evil murderer who took Charlie from us expected us to have a funeral today. And instead, my friends, we have had a revival in celebration of Charlie Kirk. He says, the day that Charlie died, the angels wept, but those tears have been turned into fire in our hearts. Sorry, that's Stephen Miller. But it was all kind of weird. And it's definitely a form of Christian nationalism, isn't it? It is. We run that promo on this program of Ronald Reagan saying famously, if fascism ever comes to America, it will come in the form of liberalism. I think that's what a lot of people at the rally yesterday, maybe even a lot of us around here, might believe, but I think you got it wrong. Because over the last couple of years, I've come to realize that if it's coming in the form of populism, that's permitting this convergence of fascism and communism to create this new hybrid political ideology and movement, this new nationalism, this neo-nationalism, communo-fascism, authoritarian to the core. Confrontational, you bet. Dysfunctional, 1,000%. Can Trump hold it together? Maybe. Does it tie into Russia? Yes. China? Maybe. In a weird way. Carving up the world. You get this, I get that. I stay out of your backyard, you stay out of my backyard. It's not about America first at all. It's just about America over here. We'll see. There's an old saying, too, that I think also holds true. There's no honor among thieves. There's also a degree of kleptocracy or a certainly an oligarchy, hierarchy that has become part of this Trump administration. And within that, you get a lot of jockeying for position, people wrestling for power. And we'll see if it works in America. Jimmy Kimmel, uncanceled, going to go back to work on Tuesday, according to Disney. It says here, Jimmy Kimmel's late night talk show abruptly pulled last week. Will be back Tuesday. The sudden suspension by ABC, owned by Disney, came after conservative complaints about comments Kimmel had made in the wake of the shooting of Christian activist Charlie Kirk. Last Wednesday, we made a decision, this is a statement from the company, to suspend production on the show to avoid further inflaming a tense situation at an emotional moment for our country. Is a decision we made because we felt some of the comments were ill-timed and thus insensitive. We've spent the last days having thoughtful conversations with Jimmy, and after those conversations, we reached the decision to return the show on Tuesday. And there has been a lot of pushback, growing amount of pushback, which I think is appropriate too, from people supporting Jimmy Kimmel and free speech. And I'm disappointed sometimes to see the people on the, not the left side, whatever this other side has become. It seems like a lot of people are over there cheering for censorship. And it's pretty clear to me that a lot of these folks who say they're for freedom aren't for freedom at all, and they're certainly not for democracy. They just want what they want. But when you're going down that road, that's just an illustration to me that you have given up on democracy because you just can't win. And you've come to realize that. So if you can't win at the polls and you're frustrated and you can't convince people to vote your way, well, then you just give up and you're just going to go take it. But I'm not into that. Now, as I say, all this weirdness, I highlighted, what communists have done in the past. I'm concerned that there's some of that going on even now in our society where they undermine reality, they twist reality. When it comes to science, the approved science is the science that you have to follow. We've kind of gone through that already. And I think to some degree, we're about to go through a whole new chapter of that. We are going through that. What's true? What do you believe? Well, I believe the approved narrative. People are being manipulated. They're acting like sheep. They are. We keep failing the test. If Hitler was alive today, would you kill Hitler? What would you do? Yes, of course I would. Oh. Would you do all these terrible, if you knew that they were doing those terrible things back then, would you have stood up to it? Yes, of course I would. Well, are you standing up now? How are you responding now? Or are you standing up when you shouldn't be standing up because you're being manipulated by the people who are doing bad things to get you to do bad things? I've done my research. I watched videos. Maybe that's the damn problem. Could be. Just saying. especially when you don't know what's real and you don't know what's fake. And people have been out there saying that the whole Charlie Kirk thing is fake, a hoax, even comparing him to Jesus, sort of creating this condition or this environment where people are being pushed into a place where they'll kind of begin to accept or think of Charlie Kirk as some immortal deity. Like literally. I have to remind you that, you know, the one thing that popped up in my feed just recently before he was killed was his interview with a bunch of porn stars, like a clip from that on X. And of course, he's taking the Christian position. Reminded me a lot of the Mies Commission back in the 80s under Reagan. But it was like he's anti-porn. And then he says in the interview, this stuck in my mind, when they started talking about him in these terms of him being like a saint. Some people comparing him to Jesus. This is over the top, because this is a guy who sat in that interview with those adult film stars that I saw on my X scroll. And he said that the one girl, whoever she was like talking. He said that I've struggled with porn, he said. Thank you, Jesus. Okay, he struggled with porn, but he's over it now. I guess at least he didn't become a porn addict. But he's a man. He was a man. He was flawed like all human beings. Certainly wasn't Jesus, not a deity. But then that was the other thing. That was the thing I wanted to show you. That was the other really weird thing. Let me see if I can find you this. The AI voice of he was reading a sermon or something. See if I don't know if I can find the clip or not. Here, I think this is maybe it. But yeah, they've been using AI for a whole bunch of, in a lot of different ways to kind of keep Charlie Kirk alive. And this is also the thing that's weird. But you know what? Like, it's the technology that's out there now, right? So maybe it's inevitable. Maybe we're going to get more and more of this. Maybe we're just going to get to a place where we'll always have our loved ones with us, even in death, because they'll live forever as an AI-generated facsimile. Well, here, look what's going on online right now.
Death is not the end. It's a promotion. Don't waste.
Says, lady just asked AI what Charlie Kirk would say now in heaven. Who knew AI could be so heartbreakingly moving?
First, I want you to know I'm fine, not because my body is fine, but because my soul is secure in Christ. Death is not the end. It's a promotion. Don't waste 1 second mourning me. I knew the risks of standing up in this cultural moment, and I'd do it all over again. Second, do not let this violence divide us further. The enemy wants chaos, fear, and retaliation. Don't give it to them. Instead, double down on truth. Double down on courage. Double down on your faith and on your families. That is how you honor me. Third, remember this. America is worth it. Free speech is worth it. Fighting for the unborn, for families, for sanity in a culture gone mad, it is all worth it. So dry your tears, pick up your cross, and get back in the fight. Do it with joy, do it with strength, and never ever let evil think it won. First, I want you to know I'm fine.
Scroll down, what else we have? The man I never met. I don't want to do that. So, Israeli propaganda failed. This is a terrible trick to play. They are misusing AI to put self-serving political words in an assassinated man's mouth to promote themselves. Charlie Kirk did not even have these views when he passed away. This makes it even more devious. Let's listen.
This is evil. Israel using AI to put words in a dead man's mouth for their own propaganda.
This is evil. Israel using AI to put words in a dead man's mouth for their own propaganda.
Don't worry about me. I'm in a better place now. But America and Israel, from this day on, will never be the same. This is the wake-up call. They tried to shut me up. They couldn't stand a voice that didn't sound like theirs. And that's exactly why we have to fight. We exposed the lie. I spoke the truth, and they hated every second of it. I know you guys are hurting. It feels like you lost me. You didn't. You can't kill an idea. You can't murder faith. Spirit doesn't break. They mocked me. I kept going. Tried to silence me. I spoke louder. They warned me.
Everybody's putting words in Charlie Kirk's mouth. And there's an AI image where he's looking weird. And I think this is, yeah. Here you go.
You know, I'm fine, not because my body is fine, but because my soul is secure in Christ. Death is not the end, it's a promotion. Don't waste 1 second mourning me. I knew the risks of standing up in this cultural moment, and I'd do it all over again. Second, do not let this violence divide us further. The enemy wants chaos, fear, and retaliation. Don't give it to them. Instead, double down on truth. Double down on courage. Double down on your faith and on your families. That is how you honor me. Third, remember this. America is worth it. Free speech is worth it. Fighting for the unborn, for families, for sanity in a culture gone mad. It is all worth it. So dry your tears, pick up your cross, and get back in the fight. Do it with joy, do it with strength, and never ever let evil think it won. You know.
So that was at the revival / what was it? Oh, memorial, where she wore white. And yeah, they're using it online as well. So he is still alive. He's alive in people's hearts. He's alive in AI in a way that we haven't really seen before, certainly not with a political figure on this level. He's alive. He's still alive. And people have been saying Charlie Kirk wasn't really killed. It's all fake. Well, I've been running that new song, It's All Fake, by Maverick and the News Brothers at the end of the last couple of nights, which is one of my favorites. But I have this other tune that I actually been working on prior to this, and we rushed to get this thing together for tonight. So I have this one. Do you remember? Again, please do not take this the wrong way. This, I waited until today, till after the memorial, to try to be respectful. Oh, I should run this for you too. I forgot about this. Before I get to this, let me show you this clip, because this is just another example of how they are putting words in a dead man's mouth. This is an AI-generated Charlie Kirk talking about the reunification of Trump and Elon Musk at the memorial / MAGA Mania party in Glendale, Arizona yesterday.
Yeah, it's been hard to watch today and unfortunate in some regards. And I love your take, which is both of these men deserve great credit for their contributions to help save civilization. Elon Musk bought Twitter, which of course became X a couple years ago, which liberated speech. And then, of course, President Trump built the most amazing political movement we've ever seen. He was shot, almost shot again. He was impeached twice. He was facing 700 years in federal prison. And he was so clear about not surrendering and not backing down and not giving up. I will say it's a tough thing to watch, this public feud. I actually think they're going to reconcile at some point, though, because deep down, I would like to believe they both want the same thing. Yeah, it's been hard to watch today, and unfortunate in some regards. And I love your.
Pull that off. Okay, so all of this, strangely, in my sort of unusual mind, I've been thinking, with all these people saying that it's all a hoax, that Charlie Kirk wasn't really killed, that Tyler Robinson, there's no way that he could have done it, and other people on the other side, they're saying, oh no, it's all transgender people, they're all to blame, or it's all liberals. But some people saying Charlie Kirk is still alive. There are people out there who really believe it. And then I thought, and I can't blame them because there's so many holes in the FBI investigation. I could drive a Mack truck through one, like a freedom trucker, in search of the truth, because they're giant holes. Well, you remember, let me see if I can find this here. Probably just Google it again. Do you remember that movie, Weekend at Bernie's? Here. It was such a dark comedy. The first one was funny. The sequel was really, I thought, terrible. You remember that? Weekend at Bernie's. Let's pull up the Wikipedia page on it. It tells the story of two young insurance corporation employees who discover that their boss, Bernie, is dead after arriving at his house in the Hamptons. While attempting to convince people that Bernie is still alive until they can leave to prevent them from being falsely suspected for causing his death, they discover that Bernie had, in fact, ordered their killing to cover up his embezzlement. It was a dark comedy. It was weird. And then they take him around and they take his body around and as though he's still alive. And they take him and they party with him. And it is creepy, but it was a funny film. So I was thinking about this and how distasteful and gross the whole, I'm sorry, but that memorial, it was just too over the top. It was too full of fireworks. It was too much of like a political rally. And even Donald Trump, it was just about the politics. He talked about Charlie Kirk. He did. But it was just so much politics. And it was more like a MAGA rally, a MAGA party for the MAGA maniacs. So I thought, well, he's probably still alive. He's probably still alive. And they had a hell of a party. It was like Weekend at Charlie's. I couldn't resist. And I'm not commenting on Charlie. I'm commenting on the people who are exploiting him politically. And for other reasons, for religious reasons, whatever the reasons might be, for their own national sovereignty, the future of Israel, whatever it might be, or Palestine. Everybody wants a piece of Charlie. And it's pretty gross. Even his widow stood up there and mentioned that she's the new CEO of Turning Point USA. Okay, again, give you the benefit of the doubt. Some of it just seemed a little weird. So that brings me to our final element of tonight's broadcast. The new song, the newest song, which I saved for the day after the memorial, out of respect for somebody who has left an incredible mark on America and the world, to be sure, who has been killed in a horrific and terrible manner, but whose death, whose life, whose words, as we sit here tonight, are being exploited. by politicians, power brokers, and others. I'll see you guys back here tomorrow night, 7 p.m. Eastern. Here's Weekend at Charlie's, Maverick and the News Brothers. Catch you on the flip side.
He's not gone. He's just gone party mode. Weekend at Charlie's. Ooh la la. Dancing in Valhalla. Ha ha ha. Fake or alive, nobody knows. Charlie's still striking a crazy pose. Oh, flash the lights, the DJ plays. Charlie's back in mysterious ways. FBI can't find the proof, but the beat goes boom and it shakes the roof. Hands up high, don't stop the show. If he's a ghost, we'll never know. Weekend at Charlie's, ooh la la. Dancing in Valhalla, ha ha ha. Fake or alive, nobody knows. Charlie's still striking a crazy pose. Charlie, Charlie, where'd you go? Valhalla disco, let's reload. Spin that rumor, play that beat. Weekend at Charlie's, move your feet. Weekend at Charlie's, ooh la la. Living forever in a big hurrah. Fake or alive, nobody knows. But Charlie keeps dancing, strike that pose. Weekend at Charlie's, ooh la la. Dancing in Valhalla, ha ha ha. Fake or alive, nobody knows. Charlie's still striking a crazy pose. Charlie, Charlie, where'd you go? Valhalla disco, let's reload. Spin that rumor, play that beat. Weekend at Charlie's, move your feet. He's not dead. He's just on the dance floor.
This has been a Maverick Multimedia production.